All right, what's up? Another live. I got a new camera. So, new camera, and my mic actually works through the camera. So we'll do some ball python Q&A. So let's take a look here. Had some technical difficulties for about an hour. All right, we got a question. All right, check it out. Giraffe 1107. What happens if you get a male and a female and they're not interested in meeting and fighting? Very good question. Can you hear me okay? I don't know if I have some good audio going on here. Like my new stuff. So hopefully you can hear me okay. Yeah, so I always found that if I have a male and a female and I pair them up and I'm going through breeding ball pythons, what I actually like to do is I like to take a little watering can like you would use in your garden, and you'd kind of set the male with the female. You kind of sprinkle them both with water because that kind of throws them off in the, they become kind of water shocked, I guess. It kind of changes their mood completely, and that seems to really help with pairing them up. I'm going to check something real quick just to see how things are going here. Let's see. I'm going to view this on YouTube. See how it looks. Yeah, it looks like I have volume. All right, yeah. So, yeah. All right. So, yeah. All right, good. All right. All right, so yeah, I have a new camera. This is a DJI Pocket 3 in a magnetic mount stuck to the back of the screen of my laptop. Running it through my DJI mic, and it seems like it's working pretty good. All right, a couple more. Chip Stowe Balls, what's up? How's it going? Pets PH, what's up? How's it going? I suppose I could grab Bobby. I tried to feed Bobby yesterday, and he went for the rat, and then he for some reason he didn't grab it. He just kind of bumped it, and then he didn't eat. So if he would have eaten, I would have probably not picked him up. But let me grab Bobby. Let me see if this camera won't follow me around. I don't know. Yeah, it's like a gimbal camera, which is interesting. All right, Bobby. Yeah, Bobby stopped eating for quite a bit, and then look at how big he's getting. He's getting big. Stopped eating for months and was getting really skinny, and then lately, probably the last 3 or 4 months, he's just been plowing down the rats, really plowing them down. So that's kind of interesting. Kind of pulling out of his long fast, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, I hit people kind of in the middle of the day. I usually have more questions than this. Let me take a look. I don't know if I have oh yeah, I have 6 people. There's 6 people. And I just kind of randomly started it without a delay. A lot of times I'll have a kind of a delay. So YouTube's trying to pick it up. Still waiting for people. Kind of hanging out. So all right, let's see. Got another question. Got much going on this breeding season? Yeah, I don't know if you saw my my last video that I just posted yesterday. That was pretty wild. So I had this snake that kind of was my dinker project. And I was going through feeding my snakes, and I looked at this snake, and it was like in this big mound, like a pile. I thought, surely that can't be eggs. And sure enough, that snake was actually on eggs. And I hadn't paired that snake up. Last time I paired it up was 5 years ago. So it laid eggs. Who knows what those eggs are? It's kind of crazy. So that's kind of wild that I got eggs. And then I paired up a bamboo. I was going to breed it through a whole bunch of snakes, and I decided just to pair it with 3 snakes. Paired it with just 3 so far, and I think I'm going to wait a little bit and then pair it up with a different 3 to kind of stagger them out a little bit, so I don't have so many snakes like so many hatchlings all at the same time. I think I'm gonna hold back like maybe 8 or 9 females, and then just like pair with a few females, and then wait maybe a few months, and then pair up a few more females, and that way it kind of cycles it out. Maybe I can have a smaller, I'm thinking maybe have just a smaller hatchling rack instead of a really big rack, and do the seasonal breeding, and kind of do like a year-round breeding with just a few snakes, which would be a little bit better for me, I think, just because I have a lot of things going on around the farm here. CRS Reptiles. Yo, Chris, I've no if you remember me, but I used to ask so many questions and got questions of the day a handful of times. Back in 2020, long time ago. Yes. Yeah. I used to do a lot of questions of the days and a lot of videos. Yes, I do remember you. That was back in 2020. That was like right when the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, I basically, right before the pandemic hit, I actually quit my job. And I decided I did not want to catch the thing coming from China. I saw them building hospitals in China when I quit my job, and I knew it was coming over here. And decided to jump into YouTube full time. That's what I was doing full time, which is kind of crazy. During the pandemic, working from home, making steak videos. You're the man. All right. Thank you. Hello from Norway. Good to see you back on the screen. Yeah, kind of in the middle of the day, in the middle of a week. I just got my my new camera yesterday. The lighting seems a little bit different. I was kind of playing around with my lighting, and it seems like I can't seem to get as much of a white balance. I may be able to adjust it here in StreamYard. I'm actually going through StreamYard, so yeah, it's looking pretty good. A lot sharper than, well, before I actually used this camera, I was using my phone, which was a Galaxy S23, and I turned it around so you can see the high definition lens on the back of the camera. And it seems like I have a lot better video quality on this DJI Osmo Pocket 3. So it's pretty interesting. Are you still planning on breeding ball pythons? Yes. I paired up 3 so far this year. I think I'm going to give it a break for maybe a few months and then pair up a few more. I think I'm only going to hold back like maybe 9 females and then just a few males. So maybe a dozen breeders instead of like racks full. And breeding, like usually I'd say kind of in my average year I have like 100 hatchlings or something like that. So kind of downsizing. Yeah, I remember you telling your story, driving 2 hours to work. Yes, that was a long drive, driving to work. And it seems like all the chemistry jobs here in Colorado, they're like 2 hours away. So that's kind of crazy. So it's kind of hard being in the middle of nowhere and then trying to work a day job in the area where all the day jobs are, because you have to drive a long ways, which is kind of crazy. What is your day job? I actually don't have a day job right now. My day job was working as in chemistry. So I was, a chemist, a scientist, a laboratory director, a lot of different positions I took working in the lab. So over the years. All right, Bobby. Bobby's getting a little wild. All right, looks like we have 13 people on so far. Let's see. Dickie Foster, what's up? Chris and chat. So yeah, usually I have a lot more people. It's kind of because I'm on a Thursday when people are working in the middle of the day. Kind of caught people off guard. Usually I do it on like a Saturday at 2 o'clock, but this Saturday doesn't work for me for live stream. And I just got my camera, so I thought, yeah, I'll try it out and see what a live stream looks like. Yeah, it's kind of interesting because recently I was cranking out a bunch of videos, and then I kind of had something going on. We had a really bad windstorm that came through the property, and it blew down. It blew down a lot of stuff. I couldn't believe it. So I was struggling with my solar panels, and we'd have really strong wind, and it'd blow the solar panels down, and I'd break some panels. So then I'd fix it and try to like strap it down with different straps and everything. I tried everything to stabilize that thing, and finally we had a really big windstorm. It was like probably over 100 miles an hour that actually blew down some really big trees. They were like, well, I can't, they were like massive, massive round trees. Blew 15 of them down, and it took me weeks to cut up all those trees. And then I rebuilt my solar panel stand so it wouldn't blow over anymore. And then set up a chicken coop for World War III chicken coop. So that's kind of what I've been up to lately. Kind of doing a lot of projects around the house, trying to fix a lot of stuff. Kind of took a break from videos for a little bit. I think it's been a couple months since I was putting out videos, but pretty much caught up with all my projects. So now I can crank out some videos again. What's my proudest snake genetic wise so far? Boy, I think it's probably some of the bamboo combos are some of my favorites, and a lot of people are like waiting in line for bamboo stuff, and I made some pretty amazing bamboo combinations. You know, especially when you mix bamboo with calico and pastel and pinstripe. I think those are some of my favorites by far. Even just a straight bamboo, like Bobby here around my neck. He's just a straight bamboo. Yeah, so I guess that's my proudest achievement. I produced quite a bit of different stuff. I did a pinstripe hide, which I wanted to do from the beginning. Made a pinstripe hide, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so, and the triple head stuff, I'm still working on some triple head stuff, which is pretty awesome. Can we expect regular uploads again? Yes. So I'm going to start cranking out some uploads. Yeah, probably not every day. I might do like maybe once or twice a week, and then live stream on Saturdays. I'm going to try to get back into that schedule. Every day is a lot, though. That's trying to come up with a topic and research it and everything. That's a lot. But yeah, I'm going to try to do a regular schedule this time. Bobby, I remember a little dude. Yeah, you look back at some of my videos and Bobby was pretty small. He's pretty big now. So, all right, Jamie, what's up? Nice to see you on. Chris, I've learned so much from your videos over the years. I'm in Longmont. Nice. Up in Longmont. So Longmont, that's probably 2.5 hours from where I'm at here. So yeah, that's kind of in the area that I've been working at, up in the Longmont. Not quite in Longmont. I've been working in like the Boulder and the Louisville area for jobs. So it's kind of my neighborhood up there. Longmont's not far from those places up there. Maybe about not even half an hour to Longmont from where I was working. All right. All your videos are interesting. Greetings from Oslo. What is up in Oslo? That's up in Norway. Norway, wow. Yeah, so yeah, it's interesting when I hit these odd hours where a lot of people, you know, a lot of my regular viewers are in the United States, and then I hit these odd hours. Sometimes I'll hit like people on the other side of the planet because it's like different hours, like later in the evening, which is pretty interesting. Especially if I do live streams like late at night, past midnight. I'll get a lot of people from Asia and in the UK over there, which is pretty interesting. Let's see, Joseph Smith. Do I have anything with ghost in it? No, I have never done any ghost stuff at all, which is pretty amazing. I've seen a lot of really cool stuff with ghost. I especially like the ghost when you mix it with the jeans that kind of turn it like a grayish metallic color, which is pretty awesome. Do I work with the ghost project at all? No, I've done Desert Ghost a little bit. Yeah, I kind of got out of Desert Ghost because my female Desert Ghost had spider in it, and I decided to get completely out of the spider. Got rid of all my spiders just because of the head wobble issue. As a matter of fact, I had a big spider someone at work gave me. It was a really massive male spider, and I recently sold it over on Morphmarket. And completely got out of spider, which meant I got pretty much out of my Desert Ghost. And then I actually just sold my male Desert Ghost. So, yeah. I just had too many projects going on, I guess. Blast from the past. Feels like 2019. Feels like 2019. It does, yeah. That was before the pandemic, 2019. I was like right at the start of it, which is crazy. 22:25 p.m. Wow, that's pretty late over in Norway. So if you're not familiar with military time, 24 hours is... well, I guess it restarts at 24 hours, so 24 would be midnight. So 22:25, that's pretty crazy. So that's like almost 10:30 p.m. over in Norway. Wow. Oops. Almost hit the wrong button here. Hold on. Let's see. Do I still have any cattle? Yes. Pretty much got rid of most of my cattle. As a matter of fact, I was up to like 13 cows, which is pretty crazy. And just downsized here. Probably, it's been maybe 3 years ago, I really downsized, and I just kept one little baby bull calf who has grown up to be a monster. He's probably like 2,000 pounds now. They'll actually get like 3,000 pounds, which is pretty crazy. And his name is Son of Anubis because I named his father Anubis, and then he had a baby with Hathor. Anubis and Hathor had a baby, and it was a bull, and I named it Son of Anubis. But yeah, pretty much all my cows are in my freezer. We have years of beef in the freezer. I shrink wrapped it all and put it in the freezer, and basically I'm running my freezer on solar, mostly on solar. So we have like an unlimited amount. If we're ever in a lockdown again, we have plenty of beef just to, probably for years up here in the mountains. So, and then yeah, just one cow left, Anubis, Son of Anubis, and he is very friendly. All right, Mr. Afro Beast, what's up? Glad you're back to making YouTube content regularly. You were definitely missed, yes. Yeah, I recently took a break. It's been a couple months. It's funny because we had a windstorm after windstorm after windstorm. Right after my last video that I posted a couple months ago, we had these massive windstorms that blew through. And we had power outages for days on the first windstorm, and then just a few days later we had another massive one that came through, blew down a whole bunch of trees. It was like hurricane force winds. And yeah, it was like after that I was like obsessed. I gotta cut these trees up for firewood because I was like almost out of firewood. And I actually got some really big chainsaws that made quick work of it. I actually have Husqvarna 592 XP, which is a beast of a chainsaw, and it'll cut through a really big log in probably 7 seconds. That thing is a monster. So yeah, and then that's one of my main chainsaws, and the other one is a Steel MS-194T, which is like an arborist chainsaw, just like you can control it with one hand, and that thing is amazing for going through and cutting the branches. So those are like my two main chainsaws, although I think I have probably 8 chainsaws. I have lots and lots of chainsaws, so we could definitely cut out all the down trees if we ever got blown out again, which is crazy. All right, CRS Reptiles, do you think you could single-handedly create a Florida situation if all your pythons got loose? Well, if they got loose up here in the mountains, they wouldn't survive because we're up here in the mountains of Colorado at 9,000 feet. As a matter of fact, it's so cold up here, there's no snakes at all. I've been up here for 20 years and I've never seen a snake. So, not even like a rattlesnake or anything. Like if you go down the hill, there's, you know, if you drive, you know, like half an hour down the hill, down to the flatlands, there's like rattlesnakes all over the place. And up here, there's really no rattlesnakes. There's no snakes at all up here. So they wouldn't survive unless I was in Florida. if I let my retics go in Florida, that could cause a problem. But they wouldn't survive up here in the mountains. Yeah, not where I live. 666 serpents. Let's see. Joseph Smith. Yeah, I agree. Spiders are cool patterns, but the head wobble is something I don't want to deal with. Yeah, so it's kind of the interesting thing is I did a video recently on the blackhead and the spider. So if you worked with spider, potentially you could work it into blackhead, which would potentially, theoretically, from what I've heard, completely eliminate all the head wobble. So for example, you could take a spider and breed it to a super blackhead, and then all your offspring would be blackheads and blackhead spiders. And blackhead spiders don't have the head wobble from what I've heard. So that'd be an interesting way to work around the head wobble. Have all your spiders be blackhead combinations spiders, which would be pretty interesting. If I got back into spider, maybe I'd do that again, which would be pretty wild. Let's see, Pinball Conspiracy. Vapor's doing great in her new tub. Nice. All right, that sounds good. Yeah, I just shipped out 3 snakes this week. The funny thing is I have another 3 snakes that I've sold, and the guy is doing payments on them. And one of those snakes that he actually bought was the Dinker project that just laid eggs. If you saw my last video of that video, that female just randomly laying eggs after not being with a male for 5 years. And who knows what those eggs are. If they're from the last male, or if they're like parthenogenesis, or who knows. It'll be really interesting to see when I cut those eggs, what those eggs will be. So it's kind of weird having a snake on hold and then the snake lays eggs. That's kind of weird. It's like, can't really ship them the eggs, so I'm just going to hatch them out here. I don't think I mean, even if they hatch, especially if it's like partho, I don't think they're going to be worth that much, because they'll all be just like normal 50% het pied like the mom. Be interesting to see if they have the same interesting pattern as the mom. Holding vapor right now. All right, yeah, nice. I'm holding Bobby. This is Bobby for anyone who hasn't been watching my channel. This is Bobby, my bamboo ball python. He's getting a little squirrely, and he is a big boy. Look at how big he is. This camera is interesting because it has a wider angle lens, so which picks up a lot more. I was going to turn on face tracking, but I don't know if I don't know if that would throw off the live stream if I did face tracking and it was moving all over the place. That'd be kind of weird. All right, let's see. Have you seen Rufus and Redford's video? I think you could make some pretty cool content with your bulls, since the same kind of content niche. No, I haven't seen that. So I only have 1 bull now. As a matter of fact, I had 2 bulls, and that was kind of a mistake. That was kind of a mistake. So yeah, when I first got into cattle, well, it was about halfway. It was maybe 10 years after I had cattle. I decided to keep 2 of my Angus bulls together, and they would kind of run after each other and headbutt, and I thought it was really cute until they got like full size, and they were like going at it all the time until one of those bulls actually hit the rear end of the other bull and actually broke his hip, and he was lame for a long time. And he eventually died from that hip injury, which is really unfortunate. So the only way that I've heard of that you can keep more than 1 bull is if you have like 1 really big bull and then 1 really small bull. I've actually done that for a little bit. But if the small one grows up, you definitely want to separate them. It gets kind of wild. Or if you had them with a lot of cows, I think if you had like, you know, a few bulls with like 50 cows, I think it'd probably work that way too. But yeah, that's a pretty destructive force having bulls. I've lost a lot of horse panels. They just can completely crush them, which is kind of crazy. So I'm kind of thinking about doing more chicken content, probably on my Homestead channel instead of this channel, because I've been trying to keep this channel like snake focused. And I know I have a lot of stuff going around the farm, so I actually just bought some black Jersey giant chickens, which are supposed to be the largest breed of chicken on the planet. The roosters can get up to 20 pounds, so that's pretty crazy. I was thinking of, I just ordered a camera, which is going to be a chicken coop live stream 24/7. So it's kind of like a security camera, but it hooks directly to your internet and streams directly to YouTube. And I'm going to stream that over on my Homestead channel, which would be pretty awesome. And then I thought I'd bring people around and kind of show them my predator-proof setup, which is crazy because we have like mountain lions and coyotes and bears and hawks. And I pretty much built a fortress for those chickens this time to protect them from all the animals. So that'll be kind of an interesting video, but I probably won't post them here on my snake channel. If you search for Hardwick Homestead, a lot of my chicken videos and cow videos are over there. I used to like combine them all together, but people get confused because they'd expect snake content, and then I'd throw in all this other content, and it was kind of confusing for the channel. All right, that's pretty cool that you named them after gods and goddesses. I named all my ball pythons after gods and goddesses. Cool. Oh, yeah, so for my ball pythons, except Bobby was one of my first ball pythons. I actually bought a whole collection of females when I first started, and then I bought Bobby to breed through all the females, and just randomly named him Bobby. As a matter of fact, I didn't name him at first, and then I decided to start doing YouTube videos on snakes, and missed kind of some of my early content because I wasn't doing YouTube like when I was setting up the racks and buying the snakes and stuff like that. But when I started doing YouTube, I decided this snake needs a name, and I just randomly picked Bobby. And then from there, to name all my other snakes, basically what I was doing for a time is I was doing live streams and videos and just asking for suggestions for names for hatchlings. And I put all the names in a jar, and then every time I had a new snake, I just pull a name out of the jar and name it whatever people suggested in the names. So I was trying to go with kind of gender neutral names for the most part. Because sometimes you don't know with hatchlings when they first hatch what they are. So that's kind of where all my snake names came from all my comments, from all my viewers, which is pretty wild. Lake 2 Land Aquatic Exotics, what's up? Thanks for the heart. Let's see. What can cause a snake to have diarrhea? Good question. I would think maybe bad rats. I had one that had diarrhea. I'm trying to think which one it was. It's been years, many, many years ago that I had, and it kind of went away. It just kind of developed and then it went away. But you can kind of hear them kind of passing gas in the background. What I would suggest is, I know a lot of people, what they do is they actually thaw out a rodent to feed the snake, and if the snake doesn't eat it, they'll freeze it again. And I think that could potentially cause your frozen thawed rats to kind of build up bacteria in the frozen thawed rat. So for me, I've always just done it once, just thaw them out, and if they're not eaten, then just toss them out. And every now and then I do toss out some rats. Sometimes it's a lot of rats, sometimes it's not. The funny thing is I've been tossing out a lot of big extra 3X rats for Sonny. He has not been eating for I think it's been like 2 months since he hasn't eaten. The funny thing is too, is he was just pounding him down just left and right. Every week he would eat a 3XL rat, like a really big, huge one. And he was getting so big his neck almost looked like it was fat. And I was starting to get worried that I was overfeeding him, and then just out of the blue, he just completely refused to eat. So I don't know what's going on with Sonny. He's my big reticulated python, which is really unusual for a retic that they won't eat. That is kind of weird. You know, as a matter of fact, the last time I had a retic that didn't eat, it was Lucy, and she didn't eat for like 2 months. And then after 2 months, she laid eggs, which is the only time she's kind of building up to laying eggs. But I've never really seen a male just stop eating like that, which is pretty wild. Has this happened to your snakes? With the diarrhea, just one. A long time ago, I remember kind of hearing the passing gas, kind of like explosive gas in the background. And then I suppose you could try some antibiotics if you went to a vet. Maybe sprinkle them on your frozen thawed rat or something. You could probably do that. And I remember it was kind of exploding on the side of the tub and making a mess. And then after a while, for me, it just cleared up. I can't even remember what snake it was. It's probably been, oh, maybe 8 or 9 years ago that happened to me. So it's been quite a while. Let's see. Dan Cook, what's up? The blackhead also removes the spider look. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because a lot of my videos, I was saying, oh yeah, the blackhead always removes the spider look in all your spider combinations with blackhead. And then I went over to Morphmarket just recently, and I saw a blackhead spider that looked like a dark spider, the same spider web pattern. So you can actually have a spider-looking snake with a blackhead in it. And I don't know if it's just line dependent or if it's just random luck of the draw. And it looked like it was blackhead in there too, because it was like a really dark spider, which was pretty interesting. So I don't know if that's always 100%. But yeah, I'd say and a lot of times it can make them look like a dark normal, and it can kind of remove the spider look. So that's another interesting project. How can you actually make a blackhead spider which doesn't have the wobble but still make it look like a spider? I'm thinking maybe that could be line dependent, which would be interesting. Do you have any large normal females? Need to get het desert ghosts for 5-year, 3-generation project. Large normal females. Not that I can think of. You can actually go over on my Morphmarket site. As a matter of fact, I just posted 3 of my baby reticulated pythons over there. And I marked the price down on all my ball pythons. We're like right in the middle of a 72-hour sale. So you might want to go over there and check it out and check out my snakes for sale. Kind of running low on snakes for sale, other than more reticulated pythons. I posted 3 over there. I think I have like 10 more to post on those retics, which is pretty crazy. Those retics are a handful though. Let me tell you. They are a handful. It's not like a ball python that'll just sit here around your neck. They just like constantly move, constantly. As a matter of fact, I just posted one yesterday that's really awesome. I should show you that retic. Let me put Bobby away. See if I can get this retic out. I think you really love this snake. So this is a pretty awesome snake. And kind of the tricky thing about retics is when you first take them out, they tend to, he's right here in this tub. And what I like to do is kind of just say, hey, no. Because they can hear you, they can, and when I say no, it means, all right, we're going into handling mode, not feeding mode. And they're pretty smart too, they can actually catch on pretty quick. Where are you at, buddy? I can't see you. Are you ready? You ready to come out? You want to come out? You want to come out? Everyone wants to see you. This is a beautiful, beautiful snake. It breaks my heart to sell these, but Yeah, look at this snake. This one is so beautiful. This is a female. So yeah, I was working with her yesterday. It took me like half an hour to probe this girl. It was absolutely crazy because she would not stand still. That's pretty obvious she's a female. The probe only went in just a little bit, but take a look at that snake. Look at how beautiful she is. So beautiful. I don't know if this camera will focus very good on... She's a really beautiful snake. It's hard to capture the beauty of these snakes on camera because they're just really awesome. Really super bright too. So a lot brighter than what I'm seeing on what I'm seeing on StreamYard. Yeah, Brighton. I don't know if Brighton could be a girl's name. I just picked a name out of a hat, and kind of the interesting thing about this is I thought for sure this would be a male because I was looking at the tail, and take a look at the tail on this guy. It's like I always thought you could tell a male and a female from the distance between the vent and the tip of the tail, and look at how long the vent's like right here, and the end of the tail's like way over here. It's like when I first saw that, I was like, this has got to be a male. And then I probed her, and the probe only went in like just a little bit. It wouldn't go in that far. And it's definitely a female. Beautiful snake. Got this one for sale over on Morphmarket. Just posted her yesterday for $800. I've seen people selling these for thousands, these super dwarf combos. This girl's like 4 years old. But yeah, this is, I might keep one because this is the last I have of Lucy, the snake that I had that passed away. Crossed Lucy with Sunny. And I've been limit feeding. I haven't been power feeding like I haven't been using them as a garbage disposal. So, 4 years old, this is amazing. This is one of my biggest ones, I'd say. So, beautiful, beautiful snake. Yeah, I hate to get rid of them, but they're like taking up all my space. That's the thing. I can't really breed ball pythons if your racks are filled with retics. She is beautiful. Look at how small she is. She's just kind of like a almost like a rat snake or something, or like a big garter snake. It's kind of wild. But yeah, once you get them out, they're really, really super docile, super docile. Of course, I spent a lot of time taming these guys down. Not really that head shy. Not that head shy. So, yeah, pretty good looking snake. I guess that's my pride and joy right there. Out of all my snakes, my beautiful retics. I hate to even sell them. They're so awesome. Someone's asking me what my pride and joy was in my collection. But yeah, so that's pretty awesome. All right, let's see. Yeah, if one has clear dominance, the other knows its place. It can work, yeah. Yeah, with the two bulls, yeah. Let's see. What animals do you have besides snakes and the bull? Yeah, so I just picked up some chickens. Decided to do, with the whole world economy kind of falling apart, I was like, man, I need some kind of food source that's renewable. So I was thinking, and I got into chickens before, and I've got out of it. I haven't had chickens or ducks for, it's been probably 2 years since I sold my chickens and ducks, and I decided to get back into it. This time I bought black Jersey Giants. I went over to eBay and I bought some hatching eggs. I bought 17 hatching eggs, and out of 17 eggs, I had 7 that were infertile, which was pretty much a bust. And then out of the fertile ones, I only had 2 that hatched. I was like, I can't have a flock with just 2 chickens. So then I went over to Cackle Hatchery, and they had black Jersey Giants, and I ordered 27, 25. I ordered 25 over there, which were 2 roosters and 23 hens. And then I had my 2 chicks. and then 4 of them died or something like that. They kind of got, you know, it's hard because they kind of get sick when they're young. Ended up with 22 chickens. So I have 22 chickens out in the coop. And they're about a month old, just maybe a month and a half old. So I have the chickens, the snakes, the bull. I'm down to 1 dog. So I had 4 dogs like maybe 5 years ago, and they all died. So my Rhodesian Ridgeback died from cancer, started getting tumors all over her body, which is kind of crazy. And then King was my St. Bernard, and he passed away from a twisted stomach, just suddenly, just all of a sudden passed away, which was really unfortunate. And then just down to one of the puppies, Cobra. Cobra is getting old too, and he started getting tumors again, just like Mama. So I'm thinking he's on his last leg. I think this is going to be my last dog. So yeah, so I have the one dog, 1 bull, 22 chickens, who knows how many snakes, and we have a tortoise. I got rid of my fish tank, got rid of the rats, got rid of the mice, got rid of the doobie roaches, got rid of a lot of stuff. So kind of paring stuff down so it's easily manageable. And the other thing I was thinking, if I ever went on vacation, I could just load the cow up with a lot of hay and water. And the chickens, I got these really big fancy feeders for the chickens, so they can last a full week. And I can, you know, if we didn't have the dog, we wouldn't need a dog sitter. I've been hiring a dog sitter through Rover, which is really expensive, but that's been a lifesaver for going on vacations and stuff. So not as many animals as I had, still quite a few animals, still a lot of snakes for sale. It's probably stress on that snake with the runs, maybe. Let's see, my beardy is running around his cage. I think he might shed soon. Is it me, or do all the pinstripes hate humans? Pinstripes, huh? Well, that's interesting. So I haven't really had problems with just pinstripes. So I actually had a female pinstripe, which was the friendliest snake ever, even more friendly than Bobby. So I don't think it's the pinstripes. The most aggressive snakes that I've ever had were the het pieds. Het pieds can be a little snappy, but my triple hets when they were young, and the bamboos too. The bamboos are really snappy when they're young. I think it's just a really aggressive feeding instinct, not really aggressive towards humans, but it seems like all of them have grown out of it, which is kind of weird. It's like kind of like a hatchling thing where they're like have a really strong feeding instinct on a lot of those. I watched some of your motorcycle content. Do you ride dirt bikes or only on-road? Yes, so basically only on-road and only demos. I used to have dirt bikes. I used to have a Yamaha IT 490, which at the time was the biggest dirt bike Yamaha ever made. And I'm 6'4", and on that bike I was tippy-toes, almost tippy-toes on that bike. It was so big. It would do wheelies in every single gear, and boy, that dirt bike, it hurt me so many times. I crashed it. Thought I broke my ribs, thought I broke my collarbone. When I thought I broke my collarbone, I bruised my collarbone. I decided to get out of dirt bikes. It hurt me bad, but it was so much fun. And it was an off-road only. You couldn't ride it on the road because it didn't have blinkers or anything. So yeah, I think my days of dirt bikes are over. I knew some serious dirt bike riders that broke every single bone in their body over and over and over. And he's like, yeah, I just got in a wreck and broke like both bones and one in the lower part of his leg, and it took him like 6 months to heal. And he's like, I'm done with dirt bikes. Sold all his dirt bikes, and once his leg healed up, he got back into dirt bikes again. I couldn't believe it. He was addicted to the adrenaline. So yeah, they can be very addictive. Let's see. Got my first clutch laid on May 3rd. All right, Fetters, congratulations, May 3rd. So yeah, that was like 2.5 weeks ago. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, so it's weird that my dinker ball python just randomly laid a clutch right when everybody else is like has ball pythons laying eggs. It's like the season to lay eggs. Even with my little dinker that hasn't been with a male for years, just decided to lay some eggs, which is crazy. I named my snakes after Harry Potter characters. Interesting. I thought it'd be kind of cool to name it after Star Wars characters, like have a Skywalker, which would be pretty cool. I think that'd be a cool theme for ball pythons. All right, Evie Zapata. Yes, I am back. Took a little break for a few months. I know people are like emailing me, where have you been? What are you doing? It's like, I hope you're okay. Yeah, I took a couple months off because of those windstorms, blew down all the trees, and I was out there like every day just cutting those trees down and fixing my solar panels. And then I decided, all right, I'm setting up a chicken coop, and then I was like obsessed over my chicken coop. I was like, I got to get this done so I can go back to YouTube. Finally got everything done. Got new wires strung for my electrical fence around my cows, which keeps the chickens out. And then I had like a little 10 by 10 chicken proof. It was like a bear proof chicken coop. I don't know if you've seen it on some of my videos. I actually built it out of wood that I cut down with and cut all the boards with my old sawmill. They were like really thick boards, which is kind of cool. And then I took my carport. I had an old carport out by the dogs that I was using for shade when I had all the dogs separated, because the dog on the end didn't have any shade, and I couldn't run them all together because they didn't really get along. Well, now that I'm down to one dog and he can roam the whole thing, I decided to take that carport, move it out by the chicken coop, and then just run bird netting over the top of it to keep the hawks off of the chickens. So I'll have to show you that in one of my upcoming videos over on my Hardwick Homestead channel. So it's a pretty cool setup over there. Let's see. What do you think will be the next big combo in ball pythons? Beginning to see a lot of berm ball stuff. Interesting. Yeah, berm ball, the cross between a Burmese and a ball python. Go big. It'd be interesting to actually take a ball python and crossbreed it to another species that's actually smaller. I don't know if you could do it with like a king snake. But that'd be cool is if you could get all the genes from ball pythons into like a smaller king snake kind of snake, which would be pretty fascinating. I don't know if you can actually cross the ball python with any other thing. I think there's just a few snakes you can actually breed with the ball python. The Burmese is one. I think the blood python is another. You can get the blood python, ball python combinations, which is interesting. Black Jersey Giants sounds like a football team. Yeah, I'm wondering, I was like, brainstorming ideas with my version of Gemini. I was like, how many Jersey Giants do you think I can fit in my little area? And Gemini was saying maybe 8 or 9, and I have 22 out there. So I think I'm actually going to have to open up the area around the chicken coop. Maybe somehow put some netting over it, because I don't think when they grow up there's going to be enough room in there for 22 big, massive Jersey Giants that are like, 10 to 20 pounds a bird. So they get really massive. They lay really good eggs too. And kind of my plan was to use it for selling hatching eggs over on eBay, because not a lot of people are actually selling hatching eggs for Jersey Giants. And I used to sell tons of hatching eggs. Every single egg that I produced almost when my chickens were breeding, I sold over on eBay for probably like $20 to $30 a dozen, which is kind of crazy. Great way to make some money with some chickens. Yeah, the other thing with the chickens, I'm going to set up that live stream. So I'm hoping just for the views from the live stream over on my Hardwick Homestead channel. I'm thinking maybe with just the views and maybe some super chats over there on the live stream, I'll get some maybe a little bit of money to help the feed costs on the chicken coop live stream, which would be pretty cool. Very sorry about the loss of your pups. Yeah, it was devastating losing my dogs. So yeah, I've lost so many dogs. This dog now is probably one of the best dogs I've had. I actually bought a little harness for him that goes, it's like a tactical harness. He was afraid of that thing forever. And I finally got him to where he'll just stand still and let me put the harness on him. And I can put patches all over the harness. And we go for walks twice a day. And as a matter of fact, I can let him run around. He won't run away, which is the only dog I've ever had that's like that. And he'll come in the basement and run around and stay right by my side. And he's just an amazing dog. And then I have the dog sitter come over, and he's just like a baby. He doesn't pull on the leash. One of the best dogs I've ever had. And coming to the end of his life is just, you know, it's always hard with dogs because they don't live that long. And I've had so many dogs. It's like I just can't take losing another dog. That's another reason I'm not going to get another dog. Yeah, kind of my idea was to get the chickens to replace the dog because I can keep the chicken flock going, hatching my own eggs and keeping them going versus a dog. Of course, chickens aren't the same, but yeah, it's tough losing dogs. I'm a professional sitter in the Boulder County here. Nice. Yeah, I thought about getting into that, doing professional dog sitting. Yeah, the problem is it's very lucrative. I pay my dog sitter a lot, especially on the holidays. She gets like 50% more on the holidays. She makes some bank. But the problem is people get dependent on you, and then if you travel a lot or want to do a lot of stuff on the weekends, sometimes it's actually hard to be a pet sitter. I actually, for a while, I was selling hay out of the barn. I'd run all over Colorado, and I'd load up my enclosed trailer with hay, and I'd bring it back and sell hay every weekend on the weekends. And people just line up by the barn and buy hay, you know, the small bales of hay to feed their goats and their horses and stuff. The problem is people would run out of hay, and they would expect you to be there, and you really can't just, you know, take a vacation and say, I can't sell hay this weekend, because then you lose customers. So, you know, there's a lot of professions that kind of keep you homebound. So, but I have considered doing professional pet sitting. Oh, let's see. I have a very friendly pinstripe named Luigi. Nice. Awesome. Yeah, I've seen a lot of friendly pinstripes. Haven't seen many really aggressive ones. I've seen some that are really scared, but haven't seen any that'll attack you. So, which is interesting that someone was talking about an aggressive pinstripe. My bamboo named Billy always hisses when I pick him up, and he's just a 110-gram baby. I have a pinstripe for a few months, and he strikes at you when you walk by. Ugh. I can feel it in my throat. I'm not used to talking so much. I got to get used to talking. This Coke always helps kind of smooth my throat. Yeah, so if you have a ball python that always hisses, the best thing to do is to pick it up and handle it a lot, because you don't really want them to be scared when they get older. So yeah, once they start striking at you, yeah, so that's another reason I don't like to put snakes in like aquariums, because yeah, if you get a snake that's scared of you and they're always striking against the aquarium or like a clear glass enclosure, that's not good. It's because it really stresses them out. As a matter of fact, I had a really aggressive snake in an enclosed aquarium. It was an Australian Woma python that was absolutely crazy. You'd walk into the room and he'd just start pounding on the glass trying to get you. And as soon as I got my rack system, I put him in one of these ARS caging tubs. I think it was one of my larger tubs, the 80 series tubs for ARS. And as soon as I put him in there, he was like completely mellow, completely changed his whole personality, and he was not aggressive at all. So yeah, I think sometimes it could be from your actual enclosure that actually could cause some aggression. And if they're aggressive a lot of times like that, a lot of times they won't eat too. So that could be a problem. All right, Born to Be Wild Reptiles. I got 4 eggs today from pied to pastel orange dream pieds. Sweet. Pied to pastel orange dream pieds. So you get pastel pieds, you will get orange dream pieds, and you will get pieds. Nice. 4 eggs. That's pretty awesome. So you can't go wrong with that combination. All pieds, a whole clutch of pieds. That's awesome. Are scaleless snakes worth it? I saw a past vid. We had wondered if you still have it. My last scaleless snake was a world's first. I think it was like a lesser pastel pinstripe, something or other. Completely scaleless female, and she passed away. She didn't make it, which is crazy because she was eating really good. She was really big. They have a problem with shedding. That was the big thing. But personally, I wouldn't do scaleless again just because of the shedding and because I live in a really arid climate. As a matter of fact, I was checking I have a humidity meter in my garage. And when it was really hot and dry for like weeks and weeks and weeks, I went out there, the humidities on the gauge said 1%. 1% humidity. I actually keep a humidifier running in here 24/7, a little one of those vapor humidifiers. It's got the 2 streams. It's like a 5-gallon humidifier. And still, even I can't get it above like 50% in here. It is just so dry. It just like sucks everything out right out of the walls in the building. It's really tough. If I lived down in Florida or like in a really tropical environment, I'd probably try scaleless again. I've heard rumors of people down in Florida having really good luck with the scaleless, but here in a dry climate, it's like stuck shed after stuck shed, and then you go in there and you're like, you know, every few weeks you're in there soaking them and cleaning off a shed. They are super high maintenance in a dry climate. I just wouldn't do it again. So, but they're pretty fascinating. If I lived in a tropical area, I would definitely do it again. Let's see, pairing with Super Orange Dream, Black Pastel, Leopard Clown to Stranger Vanilla Pastel Clown. Wow, that's a crazy combo. Super Orange Dream, so everything will be Orange Dream. Leopard Clown, that's crazy. So they're both clowns, so they'll all be clowns, all be orange dreams, and you have Stranger Vanilla Black Pastel in there. That's pretty crazy. That's a pretty crazy combo. That's pretty awesome, actually. I named my ball pythons after the Egyptian pantheon of gods. My blue-eyed Lucy is Imhotep. Interesting. Sounds like a magic mushroom name. Let's see. I have a playpen with a view of the TV, and I put at least one in there and hold another. They always watch your kind of like a snake celeb. Oh, that's interesting. So the snakes watch me on YouTube? Is that what you're saying? That's interesting. Yeah, I used to, back when I was doing YouTubes every day for like years in a row, people would watch my videos, and their kids would like grow up watching snake TV every single day. And then I meet them at the reptile shows, and the kids are like, I just couldn't believe that I was actually there. I don't know if it's the same though, because I haven't been like, you know, I'm not like doing 7 videos a week anymore like I used to. But yeah, that was crazy doing so many snake videos, just back to back to back. That's a lot of work too. It's definitely 2 full-time jobs trying to do snake videos every single day. It's pretty crazy. Someone bred an Angolan with the ball python, has an Angolan het clown. 50-50 by ball python Angolan. Wow, I had never heard that before. Angolan. It'll be interesting to see if they can actually take the genes from the ball python and move it over. It's het clown, but it'll be interesting to see if that hybrid actually starts showing, first if it's viable, if you can actually breed two of the 50-50 ball python Angolans together, and if you can, and if you can actually see the genes from the ball pythons in the mix, which would be like, you could like start a whole new ball python hybrid craze if you could do that, which would be pretty wild. Assuming everyone would stay with the 50-50, because you start breeding, hybrid like that back to a ball python, and then it gets a little bit confusing because you'd have like 3/4 ball python, 1/4 Angolan. That would get a little bit confusing. Do you know what would be crazy? A scaleless desert ghost axanthic VPI. Yeah, that would be crazy. Yeah, it's weird. A lot of times when you take the scales away, it has a completely different look. A lot of times, if you actually produce that with no scales, a lot of times it may look completely different than your desert ghost axanthic, which would be, kind of like a black and white snake. It might be even more intense black and white with no scales, which would be pretty wild. Let's see. So I'm just unlucky. I'll get him better though. Yeah. My ball python's on a hunger strike. It stresses me out. Welcome to the club. I have some snakes that are getting really skinny. I got one in particular over at Morphmarket. I'm just going to pull him off of Morphmarket because he just stopped eating. So yeah, I had one lemon blast female adult that just stopped eating for months and months. And I didn't put her up on Morphmarket, and then just all of a sudden out of the blue, she just decided she wanted to eat a rat every single week. And she's back. It's just like, oh, these snakes, they stress me out so much. You just have to wait them out. Just, if they're eating good, I would say if they go on a hunger strike, you have the right enclosure and the right setup. The thing I worry about is if you buy like a brand new snake and put it in an enclosure that really stresses them out. Sometimes it's hard to get them to eat for the first time. That's when I'd really worry. I sold one ball python to this lady who put it in an enclosure with all this driftwood and everything. And she said, oh, this ball python won't eat and won't eat and won't eat. And finally, it was a local sale. So she decided she wanted just to bring it back and give me the ball python. Well, come to find out, she had all this driftwood in there, and she couldn't get the ball python out of the driftwood. It actually went into this little cave in the driftwood and wrapped all around the inside. So she brings me this piece of wood with the snake in it. It's like, no wonder it won't eat. You can't even get it out of this piece of driftwood. And we actually had to break the driftwood open to get that snake out, which is crazy. And then I threw him in the rack, and he started eating it right away again. So I don't know. So sometimes it's the crazy enclosures and the stuff people put in there with their ball pythons. Yeah, dang, sorry about the scaleless. So yeah, that was kind of unfortunate with the scaleless. That was my biggest tragedy. That was probably one of my proudest snakes too. One of my crown jewels in my collection was that world's first beautiful, bright yellow, crazy pattern, completely scaleless female. And I sold all my other scaleless stuff, and I just hung on to that one. And when she died, I was heartbroken on that one. I just could not believe, all the snakes that I've had over, however many years I've had snakes, I don't know, 15 years or whatever it's been, 10 years, 12 years. I don't even know how many years. I've only had probably very few snakes die. And usually it's like a hatchling that's deformed or something, or dead in the egg or something like that. I had one snake that died. It was actually a king snake, and I think it died of old age, which is kind of weird, because you would think, like if a snake dies of old age, it would just fall over dead. This one actually just started falling apart, which is pretty wild. It's like all his scales starting coming off, and it was like, in the end, like its eyes were getting sunk in, and it just like completely disintegrated and was still alive, which is kind of the weirdest thing I've ever seen in a snake. But usually snakes don't die. I've had Lucy die right after she laid eggs. I think it had something to do with laying eggs. So and then they had the scaleless die. I think it's because she was a scaleless. So other than that, I haven't really had a snake die. These snakes will fast for months and months. I've never had a snake die from a fast, which is kind of crazy. So it's interesting that snakes just don't die. They just keep on going and keep on going. So yeah, when a snake dies, it's kind of really weird. All right, radiated salts, what is up? Welcome to the channel. Do you have an opinion on the best line of axanthics? We have TSK, but we're considering whether it is worth it. I would say when it comes to axanthics, there are not only different lines, but there are different examples of those lines. So I've seen some TSKs that were really amazing, and some TSKs where you almost can't even tell that they're axanthics. They don't express as well as other types of the TSK. I think it's really line dependent. So yeah, and I've actually seen that pretty much through all of axanthics too. There's really good examples and really bad examples, kind of like with all genes, but it seems especially so with the axanthics. So what I would actually do is I would, if you're getting into axanthics, I would buy some visuals up front so you know exactly what you're getting into. Because if you start buying like head axanthics, it's not like buying a head where you're always going to get a pied, because the axanthics, you never know how well that particular version of TSK is actually going to express itself when you start having two genes in the same snakes and you make the visuals. So that's one thing to think about too. So, all right, let's see. What are mites? Mites are something you definitely do not want. Let me tell you, you do not want mites. I had mites once. I was like, when I was building up my collection, I was like obsessed over buying snakes, and I bought all these snakes on Morphmarket. And mites are little tiny. They almost look like little specks of pepper, and you'll see them like if you have mites and you put your snake on paper towels, you'll actually see the mites on the paper towels as little black specks. What they actually do is they get under the scales of your snake and they make little red sores. So if you have a snake that has little red sores all over the place, you'll you have mites. And trying to get rid of mites is very difficult. Very difficult. What I was doing, I bought some mite spray, and I took all my snakes, removed all the substrate, and put in paper towels. And then every single day I would go through, change the paper towels, spray the entire tub with a mite spray. And the mite spray is toxic to your snakes, so you can actually kill your snakes with that mite spray. So yeah, and they take months to get rid of mites, and they're so contagious too. You can get them on your clothes, and you can walk into someone else's reptile room, and just right on your clothes, they can like crawl on the floor, and you infest the whole place with mites. So yeah, I didn't know what mites were either. If you have a white snake, you'll see a mite infestation is red sores on your snake, like little red spots, and in the middle of the red spot there's a little black spot, which is the mite. I've done quite a few videos on mites. Snake mites, you do not want them. The interesting thing is I had carpet in here before I went to a wood floor, and the mites would actually get in the carpet And then I would like try to clean all the tubs and disinfect all the tubs. And then I was thinking the mites actually were coming from the carpet and reinfesting my snake rack. So I started vacuuming every day. And, and that's when I finally got rid of the mites. Yeah. Oh, I never want mites again. That's why I always say, you know, on all my Morphmarket ads, that guaranteed no mites, because I haven't bought any new snakes and brought anything into the collection. If you don't buy new snakes, I can almost guarantee you're not going to get mites. It's a really big risk buying new snakes, especially if you have a lot of snakes and you're bringing in new ones. A lot of people will actually like isolate them like in a separate room. I would suggest buying a snake and putting it in someone else's house to quarantine it. You do not even want it in your house. I'd say until you know for sure it doesn't have mites. What's my dream pairing? Yeah, so I guess a lot of people just been wanting bamboos and bamboo combos. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on, doing a little bit of, just a little bit of bamboo stuff. I haven't been doing a whole lot. I guess I'm not really going for like dream combinations or anything like that. I always thought it'd be interesting to do like a really complicated pairing, like taking a snake with like 5 or 6 genes and pairing it with another snake with 5 or 6 genes. And you know, you'd only need like 2 snakes and you could get like a whole rainbow of offspring and probably never produce the same thing for like 10 years if you had so many genes in there. And just do like DNA testing. I'm actually sponsored by Rare Genetics doing DNA testing, so they can help me with the DNA testing, which would be a pretty cool project. That's something I'd consider, just to pick up a couple snakes. Of course, I'm always worried about mites, bringing in a new snake. I kind of want to sell what I have right now before I actually start getting into bringing in new snakes. Just, you know, get down to like maybe a dozen snakes or so and then bring in some new ones. So I'm not risking my whole collection, like a big collection with the potential of mites, which was just kind of crazy. The other thing about mites too, speaking of mites, is a lot of people think, oh yeah, I can buy and sell snakes and just kind of flip them. I know a lot of people try to do that, but let me tell you, if you're flipping snakes, I guarantee your risk for mites is extremely high. And if you get mites in your collection, I guarantee you can't sell any snakes. As a matter of fact, if you go to a reptile show and they catch you with a snake with mites in there, they will kick you out of the show. You can't even sell snakes at the reptile show. So yeah, so flipping snakes is very risky when it comes to picking up some stuff. And not only mites too, I've actually seen some diseases that'll kill your snake. I've watched a couple of videos where people get some kind of a virus that'll like sweep through and kill all their ball pythons. And let me tell you, if you're flipping snakes, that's another big risk. So that's why I avoid buying snakes as much as possible, unless I have a specific project I'm actually thinking about doing. All right, born to be wild reptiles. I've heard of a breeder using water beads to soak up water to incubate eggs. Interesting, huh? I had not thought of that. That's actually a great idea, because I actually use those water beads as a water source for my dubia roaches, and they'd suck up all the water, and then the dubia roaches would just drink the water right out of the bead somehow. I don't know how they would do it, but they'd actually suck it right out of the bead. And if you did that, you could actually tell exactly how much water you have under your egg box, especially if the side was clear. If you're using like a clear shoe box like I use. And you can add water if the beads start shrinking down. So that's interesting. I had not heard that before. Of course, you might, I don't know if you could potentially get more bacteria on water beads versus like perlite. I would think the perlite would probably be less resistant to like bacterial contamination maybe, because the beads are like a plastic. I don't know if they could get contaminated with bacteria. That's interesting. All right, let's see. Richard Patrick Utatsi, what's up? I keep my snakes in separate enclosures. The adults in a 4x2x2. Is it possible to breed them in the terrarium, or should I move them to the tubs? I guess it depends what you have in the terrarium. You could probably breed them anywhere, I would imagine. I don't know. I would probably, if it was me personally, I'd probably put them in a tub to breed them because it gives them more access to each other, where you can lock the tails a little bit better without stuff being in the way. That's probably what I would do. That's probably what I would do. We need Bobby babies, yeah. Yeah, I paired them up with 3 females so far. I'm just kind of taking a pause, and I'm going to breed them with probably three or 4 more females here in a few months and kind of separate things out. See if we can kind of stretch out the eggs. So I'll be growing up. Kind of the idea is with kind of stretching it out is that I don't have like 100 hatchlings all at once that I have to find room for. I'm thinking maybe this rack over here with just the 39 tubs, if I could spread them out enough, I could raise the hatchlings up enough to where they start eating. I usually do like 6 or 7 meals and then start selling them. And then at that point, maybe have more eggs in the incubator before kind of just like cycle them through the rack. It's kind of my idea. If you did like breeding like twice a year, maybe you had 6 months between, you could always have eggs and hatchlings kind of rotating back and forth. I don't know. Maybe that's the new thing. Hard to recognize you without a snake around your neck. Yeah, I could get Bobby again. I had that retic for a while. So, got to wake Bobby up here. Bobby's been eating good. Just had a shed, looking beautiful. Bobby's doing great. Nice and chunky. Nice and thick. All right. Bobby's back. Apex Royals, what's up? My partner just passed away, and now I have about 10 to 12 snakes I need to move fast. I'm only keeping specific projects, 12 to 15. That should keep me going for a few years, I'm hoping. Yeah. So, that's unfortunate that your partner passed, especially if they were a snake person too. So, yeah, my partner is not into snakes. I'm pretty much the lone snake guy in the house, so, yeah. Let's see. All right, thanks for the answer. Sure. Do I have anything available for sale? Yes, I do, actually. You can go over to morphmarket.com. I have quite a few snakes over there. I just put 3 reticulated pythons yesterday, posting them over there. I have a few ball pythons. I could actually go and check it out here. Let's see. I usually put the Morphmarket link underneath the... Ooh, I have a message over here on Morphmarket. Oh, pinstripe calico. All right, someone's interested in a snake. My animals, let's see. I could actually share the screen here. Let's see. See if I can figure it out. Presenter invite. Share screen. Chrome tab. So yeah, there you go. Those are the snakes I have over there right now. So looks like I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So not a whole lot of snakes left for sale. All the ones that aren't posted over here are breeders. I have another 10 retics that I'm going to post over here. So I just posted this one. This was Brighton, the one I was just showing people. That's a pretty cool snake. It's funny in this picture, I was like trying to probe him for like half an hour and he finally like just collapsed in my hand because I was like, we were fighting each other. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I have. Snakes for sale. Not a whole lot. Not like hundreds. Not like hundreds. Pretty much dwindled down my collection. Once I sell those and my retics, I'll be down to like 12 snakes. And I'll probably keep Sunny, my big retic. Am I active on Instagram? No, I actually have an Instagram account, but every now and then I see someone joins my Instagram, but I'm basically a YouTube guy. I was trying to do all that, you know, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, all the different platforms. And I decided just to kind of focus on YouTube because otherwise you spread yourself really thin. So, oh, I meant business partner. Oh, thanks so much for answering. Even a business partner, that's pretty tragic. So, yeah. Awesome. Let's see. Where do you see the Sunset Ultramel Monsoon jeans going? Sticking around or hot for right now and fizzling? So, good question. I would say when it comes to the Sunset, the Ultramel, and the Monsoon, they're kind of, well, they used to be really expensive projects. Like the Sunset was, you know, to get into Sunset, it was like $10,000. And I know the price has really come down. The Ultramel kind of has a bad reputation for kinking. The Monsoon was also really super expensive. So all three of those, they kind of have issues. The Sunset and the Monsoon are really visually dominant. So if you try to add other jeans on top of it, a lot of times the Sunset and the Monsoon will like completely dominate the color and the pattern. And it's kind of like supply and demand. So because a lot of people weren't getting into it just because of the issues, that's what really kept the price high. And a lot of people that were getting into it, a lot of times they would do it for the money. And the people that would buy from them were doing it for the money, not necessarily like the crazy combinations. So, you know, it comes down to like supply and demand because not a lot of people were really driven into these projects. It kind of kept the price high. It kept and kind of a lot of the issues kept the demand down. And I think it's kind of going to be the same moving forward with a lot of these projects. They're really awesome projects, and you can make some really stunning combos, but they're not like as popular as like say the Clown. When the Clown came out and people started seeing all the combinations from the Clown, everyone jumped in and bought Clown, and it just kind of went crazy, which really drove the price down. Now you can buy, you know, just a single gene Clown for almost nothing. And these are like completely opposite because they have some limitations as far as breeding projects. So I think they're going to stick around for a long time, and I think they're going to kind of stay, you know, where the price is high, just because the demand has been kind of lower than because of some of the issues with these genes. How is RGI doing with the tests? Yes. As a matter of fact, I was thinking this week I might do a video about the gene testing. So they tested a whole bunch of stuff. They had some sheds they wanted to retest. There's some stuff. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of stuff that I thought there'd be some hidden genes floating around. They tested for a whole bunch of genes for a lot of snakes. And I didn't really see any weird stuff or, you know, recessive stuff that was really unexpected. I did get the test back for my 66% triple het, which would be interesting. So I want to share those results. But yeah, I'd like to go through some of the results from the genetic testing, which would be pretty fascinating. As a matter of fact, there's another couple snakes I want to test. There's some 50% het pieds. There's one I want to test for desert ghost, and maybe some other stuff too. But I think I pretty much stopped doing like all the tests on all of the snakes. I thought I'd see more stuff buried in there, but I didn't really see anything. So I don't think I really have a lot of hidden genes kind of floating around my collection. But yeah, that'll make an interesting video when I actually jump in and do that video and share the results. All right, let's see. Leo Rubio, when pairing hets to hets, what are the probabilities of actually hitting a complete recessive? So if you breed a het to a het, it's 25%. Is that right? 25%. 25%? Yeah. I think it'll be 25%. They'll actually get a visual. Am I downsizing or leaving the reptile community? I'm just downsizing. I don't think I can leave the reptile community. I have a whole library of snake stuff on YouTube. Everybody knows me, yeah. So I will probably never leave the reptile community. I might take breaks here and there, and yeah, I might go like through spurts where I like produce a whole bunch of videos and then take a little break and then produce a bunch of videos and take a break. I'm thinking about actually maybe just doing maybe one video midweek and then doing live streams on the weekend, kind of starting it back up, because doing videos every single day is pretty intense. But yeah, not leaving the community. Let's see, we've been going for an hour 27. We have 37 people on the live. So yeah, I'm kind of waiting for my next live to kind of upgrade my camera and my mic. I think I got it pretty well dialed in. I think I got to figure out my lighting though. Everything looks kind of like olive drab. I don't know. Need a little color correction. I'll have to figure out. I think I can do it with this. I'm using the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I think you can do on-the-fly color correction, but I'm using it as a webcam through my laptop. So it's a little bit simpler setup than I had before. Let me tell you, it is simple. I just need, right now I actually have a magnetic holder on the camera, and it's attached to the back of my computer screen magnetically. So that's a little wonky. I'm trying not to bump my camera because it'll fall on the floor and break my gimbal. So I definitely need to get a tripod for the next live. So kind of moving up my studio gear. I think I got way better quality as far as the resolution and the transmission and the volume on this. All right, let's see. I have a lavender double het monsoon, 1-3, and hopefully by the time they can breed, the genes won't die. Yeah, hopefully they won't die. Yeah, that's the other problem. You know, because you buy a snake and then it takes 3 years to grow it up to where it lays eggs, and then you breed it, and then, you know, 9 months later you have hatchlings, and then by the 4th or 5th year, who knows where the market is. It can explode or it can tank. So yeah, especially with a lot of the new genes, especially really popular genes that are not that expensive or in really high demand, sometimes a lot of people jump in and just crash the price. Dale, what's up? Let's see. Hi, Chris. I'm starting a small breeding business in Tennessee. I have 2 orange dream pieds, and I'm going to breed when they're old enough. What other morphs should I get into? The sky is the limit. There's so many things to get into. You could always buy a bamboo. What I would do, if I was getting back into ball pythons and just starting out, what I would actually do is I would go to the local reptile shows and see what the local breeders have. and what people are bringing in, and then maybe have a list, you know, or take pictures of what everyone's breeding, have a little list of the stuff that they're cranking out. Maybe ask them what they're breeding. Ugh, Bobby's going up my shirt. And then look for something that's not what other people are breeding, something that sells really good at other reptile shows. Like when I started in ball pythons, the reason I got into bamboos is because there wasn't any bamboos at the local reptile shows. And when I go there with a whole case full of bamboos, I'd basically corner the market, and nobody else had bamboos. And I was, I pretty much dominated the reptile shows with all my bamboos because nobody else, I didn't have any competition. And the other good thing is if you're actually sitting by another table in a reptile show, like side by side, you don't have the same thing. So if I had all bamboos and then someone walked in and they had all bamboos, at that point you're just competing over price and availability. So, you know, if you have a lot of the same stuff, then it's basically just comes down to price. And I've actually seen that on a lot of clown stuff too, where, you know, tables side by side will have a lot of the same clowns and clown combos, and they're just basically competing over the price. So, and it's not really nice too to actually show up to a reptile show and then someone pulls beside you with all your snakes at a lower price. It's, yeah, so that's where I would start, is the reptile shows, and then see what people have, and then from there I'd go, you know, figure out what's appealing to you as far as you know, the colors and the patterns. If you want to go with the you know, to the dark side, if you want really bright flashy stuff, or if you want to get into crazy clown stuff, or, I mean, there's so many things you could do. And what's your budget too? I mean, can you throw down $10,000 on a snake? That's the other thing. So you have to look at your budget, and there's a lot of things to take into consideration. Let's see. I hope clown doesn't diminish in price because of monsoon sunset. I don't know. It seems like a lot of the genes, what'll actually happen is they'll go through an initial like crash. Like when a new gene comes out, it tends to crash. You know, if it comes down and crashes really hard, usually it levels out at a baseline. I don't think clown will ever be like to where clowns aren't worth anything, because there's so many amazing combinations you can make with clowns. So I think clowns and pieds, they basically are what started the whole ball python craze, and I think they'll be around for a really long time. So I wouldn't worry about clowns. Maybe certain clown combos, only if people start really producing a lot of them. So if you have like a clown combined with a new gene, and then people are selling it for like $10,000 or something like that, and then all of a sudden everyone wants to produce that combination, and then there's like 50 of them on the market, then the supply increases, then the prices really drastically decrease. So that's another thing to keep in mind too. All right, let's see. Been going for an hour and a half, 30 people. Let's see, I have a fire, hidden gene Woma female, bred to a banana champagne, head red xanthic vanilla. Is it okay? Hidden gene Woma is, so hidden gene Woma is in the spider complex. And the champagne is in the spider complex. Hidden gene Woma champagne. I actually did a video on that. I'm not sure if that's a lethal combination or not. Hidden gene Woma champagne. You'd have to look into that. That could increase the, because I think hidden gene Woma, spider, champagne, they're in the, there's the big four. What's the other one? I can't think of it off the top of my head. Brain freeze. But they're in the big four, to where usually you don't want to breed them together. So Hidden Gene Woma and Champagne. I don't know if I would breed those. So if you get a Hidden Gene Woma Champagne, it'll be 25% odds that you'll get a Hidden Gene Woma Champagne. And the odds of severe wobble could be pretty significant if you actually hit that combination. So I don't know. You could take your chances. I probably wouldn't do it. Personally, I probably wouldn't do it. You've caught a lot of the hot genes over the years. What do you think of some sleepers will be in the next coming years? Also got a bamboo stanger because I kept seeing Bobby. Yeah. So it's interesting with the sleeper genes because sleeper genes are sleeper genes until you get like a big YouTuber who decides to breed them through the collection and make a lot of videos saying how awesome this sleeper gene is. And that's usually what drives the popularity of the sleeper genes. So it's interesting how, you know, some genes are like kind of dead and dying in the background. People don't know the potential of them. Some don't have that big of an influence. And then once you start, you know, pulling that out and mixing it with all the new genes, sometimes you can see some really dramatic effects. And I think honestly, people are running out of genes, some of these big breeders, and they're kind of getting desperate and pulling a lot of these old genes out of the closet. I think that's where they're coming from, and getting some of these old sleeper genes back kind of in the public eye. So, and a lot of times the prices will, you know, because a lot of times you'll have a new gene that'll come out and then it'll just kind of crash and it'll just sit there kind of at a low baseline for a while, and then all of a sudden, you know, someone thinks it's really awesome with all the combos, and they show them all side by side, and it has a, you know, pretty significant effect. And a lot of times the prices for some of those old genes that have leveled out can actually start increasing again. Another one. What's up, Rational? Yeah, it's been a while since I put out a video. Been a long time. Yeah, my live streams. I was having problems with my live stream setup. I was like looking through. I was thinking of getting a soundboard and amplifiers and all this stuff because I was basically using my phone as a camera, my Galaxy S23, and then I was running my DJI mic through my laptop through a USB-C port, and I had all my volumes maxed, and my volume was still like really low. So I've been like, I spent the last couple of months trying to figure out how I could fix my live stream. And I finally got this DJI Osmo Pocket 3 that I've been using on this live stream. I just got it yesterday, so it's kind of the first time. It seems like the quality is really good. So yeah, and I can turn up my volume because it actually pairs with my DJI Mic Mini, and then it has a pre-built amplifier in the camera. So I think I figured out my live stream. So that's why what I'm doing today is just testing out my new setup here with my equipment, and it streamlines everything. I don't need all the cords and monitors and all the crazy stuff I had set up before. So it looks like it's pretty good. All right, earn every day. I have a dragonfly bamboo leopard het clown. What do you think the best female for that? Dragonfly bamboo leopard het clown. Yeah, so I love the leopard clown stuff. So that's kind of going towards the Batman combos. I would definitely breed to either a het clown or a visual clown. If you did a visual clown, you could actually, 50% would be clown. That's probably what I would do to get some of those clowns popping out. Bamboo, well, with a leopard, you could do, well, it's a bamboo leopard. I was thinking you could do a leopard lesser, because the leopard lesser produces striped snakes with the leopard lesser combinations, which would be pretty cool. But if you had a female with the lesser in it, you would also get lesser bamboos, which would be a blue-eyed leucistic. So And then if you got like a dragonfly, bamboo, leopard, lesser clown, you get a white snake with all those genes in it. So I don't know if you want to go down that road, unless you did like DNA testing and you knew exactly what was in there. And then you could sell some blue-eyed leucistics that had a lot of genes in there and still get some pretty good money out of those combos. But yeah, it depends if you want the blue-eyed leucistics. Because if you had the visual without the lesser, I would think you could bring more money than just a blue-eyed leucistic with a lot of genes in it. But bamboo, my favorite bamboos are the bamboo pinstripes, bamboo calicos, dragonfly. Yeah, so you could do like you could do like a, I would probably do like a lesser clown, pinstripe calico or something like that to make some pretty awesome combinations. That's probably what I would do. A lot of stuff you could do with that. Have I ever participated in a Morphmarket auction? No, I've never done the auction. I've seen snakes that are going for a ridiculous price, really low. I think a lot of people don't see that auction. You put it up for auction and people are basically giving snakes away over there. So, I mean, if you had like a death in the family and you wanted to liquidate your whole snake collection, you could put it over there and start bidding at $1 and basically give it away. Yeah, the other thing too is, you know, for me, bringing in snakes, I don't want to bring in any mites. You know, people auctioning snakes, I don't know. It just seems like, especially if you're paying like pennies on the dollar and you get a snake that's really cheap, maybe maybe you're at a higher risk for mites, I don't know. So just, to me, it doesn't sound like a good idea, but I probably wouldn't auction any snakes and I probably wouldn't buy any over there on the auction. So probably just sell on regular ads. What's your opinion on GHI butter het clown? Ooh, GHI butter. So that's basically the same as GHI lesser. GHI lesser, that's like a dark lesser. So GHI is a dark morph. Lesser kind of like brightens things. Het clown, that sounds interesting. That does sound interesting. You know, another good thing you could do with GHI is you could do ghosts. Like a GHI ghost is like a steel gray snake, which is one of the really cool, one of the really few gray snakes out on the market. But you could do, if it's het clown, you could do like a clown with like het ghost or ghost, kind of work ghost into it. As a matter of fact, I did have a het ghost for a while. Sold stuff as possible ghost. Someone was asking me that before, if I ever worked with ghost. Never produced a ghost. I had a het ghost and I had possible ghosts running through my hatchlings that never proved out because I didn't really want to go down the ghost. But I think if I had GHI, of course the GHI Mojaves are really awesome too. So I'd probably do like a GHI. I'd probably do like a Mojave ghost or het ghost clown or something like that with that. That'd be a pretty interesting project. Let's see. Thank you so much for answering. I'm glad you're not leaving. You have left a huge impact on the ball python community. I'm happy to know you're not going anywhere. Not going anywhere, yeah. Although in a few minutes I may be going to dinner. May have to break for dinner. We've been going for an hour and 44 minutes. 29 people on the live on this Thursday, in the middle of the day, doing a Thursday live stream. Right now it is about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I guess this is my day job. All right. Bamboo Stranger, yeah. Bamboo Stranger. Oh. That's what I thought you meant. All right, Tanisha Petit, what's up? Would there be anything you would do differently at the beginning of breeding ball pythons? Probably not, I'd say. I think starting out with the bamboos is one of the best decisions I ever made. Because it was so different than what everyone else was doing. And when I started out, I bought a whole collection of females and then Bobby and bred it through the females. The only thing that I would probably do different is, one thing I kind of regretted is that I didn't start earlier, like 10 years earlier. Like when a pied ball python was like $10,000 and het pieds were going for like $3,000. I wish I would have started way back at the beginning, because there was so much more money. Just the beginning of the craze and the momentum, and just to be part of that, the early stages. By the time I found out about ball pythons, you know, people were already into it for like 10 years. So it's, yeah, I kind of missed the boat, like right at the beginning. I jumped on as soon as I could, but I missed like the initial ball python craze. I wish I had been part of that. Upgrade. I cool. My son does YouTube videos. Yeah, there's a lot to learn in YouTube. So, you know, the camera, the audio, even the editor and the thumbnail, titles and topics, and the software. And you get into like software like Adobe Premiere Pro is what I use, and it's like sitting in the cockpit of a jet engine with all these buttons and dials. Like, what does all this stuff do? It's like, it takes a long time to learn. And then of course you can do it the easy ways. You just, you know, don't even do a thumbnail. That's kind of what I did at the beginning, is I just took a camera and just uploaded to YouTube, and didn't do any editing at all at the very beginning. So it's definitely a lot to learn on YouTube, making videos. And it's pretty exciting though, because you can actually make money. And then once you start making money, you get the constant revenue coming in. So I'm still making money on YouTube. It's just, you know, I get a check every month. It's not enough to live on, let me tell you. But it helps. As a matter of fact, I make enough on YouTube to buy chicken food for the chickens, buy hay for the cows, and buy food for my dog. It's basically what it is. It pays for so which is pretty cool, because, you know, it's all deductible. It's part of my YouTube business. It's deductible expenses. So you don't have to pay taxes on that money, which is cool. Not tax advice though. Jim Flo, what's up, man? What's up? Nice snake you got there around your neck. Apex Royals, thanks for being so direct and honest, especially about the business side of things. I also agree the older genes are being mixed with the new genes. Demand of older genes, yeah. Yeah, so it's pretty fascinating, especially if a new gene comes out and you find that, you know, some dead and dying gene makes a really awesome combo. That gene definitely can make a comeback big time. So to me, it's amazing that they keep coming out with new genes. Like, where do they get all these new genes? It's like, where are they coming from? It's unbelievable that even today, all these years later, that they're still cranking out new genes and making new stuff. It's amazing. Lineage is the most important to me. Yes. I agree. That's why you should buy Bobby bamboos. A lot of people, they don't want just any bamboo. They want a Bobby bamboo. All right. So you said everybody auctioning ball pythons on Morphmarket, they all have mites. That was your words? No, I'm saying if I had a collection full of mites, I might be tempted to auction them off on Morphmarket. I'm saying there might be a higher risk of mites if you're picking up snakes that people just want to dump, you know. So I would say every time you buy a snake, there's a potential of getting mites. That's why on all my ads I put guaranteed mite free. But that's just my personal opinion. You know, I wouldn't buy a bamboo for $10 if someone was offering to ship it to me. I'd be like, what's wrong with that snake? Why are you getting rid of it for $10, you know? And the auction seems kind of like that, but I don't know. I've seen a lot of people get some really good deals over on the auction. So I'm not really saying that you shouldn't get an auction snake. So I don't want to say anything bad about Morphmarket. Morphmarket has been great to me. I buy all my supplies over there, advertise all my snakes. Without Morphmarket, let me tell you, the ball python industry wouldn't be what it is today. Without Morphmarket, I'd say it's the #1 thing that has really changed the ball python industry and has made it viral. So Morphmarket is essential, I think, in the ball python industry. So I wouldn't say anything bad about Morphmarket. I just wish they wouldn't do auctions. That's the only thing. So I don't know. That's just my opinion, personal opinion. Auctions, I don't know. It's hard to compete with auction prices too. So that's the other thing. All right, can I do similar content as yours in Hungary and our language? I'm planning to make a ball python channel. Yes. You can copy my channel. Well, you can copy my ideas. You can copy my ideas. So, yeah, that's where when I started, basically what I would do is I would go to someone's ball python channel, sort by the most popular, and I would get a list of maybe the top 5 or 6 ideas. Write those down, and I go through all the ball python channels. And then if I had, you know, like 5 or 6 ball python channels that all had the same video idea, I would actually just, that's how I started, and I do videos like that. The problem is, if you go to my ball python channel and sort by the most viewed, you'll actually get cow videos and chicken videos and duck videos and puppy videos. The snakes will be like way down there. So yeah, so I don't know, but yeah, you can start that way. I would say that's a good way to start. But the best way to really do a YouTube channel, I think, is to end up doing topics that nobody else covers, because I think that's where I really kind of cornered the market at the beginning. Because when I first started making videos, people would say, oh yeah, this is my pastel, pinstripe, bamboo, calico, ghost. And nobody knew what those terms meant. Nobody knew what the genes were, the potential of the genes. And none of the big breeders would actually stop and do a video on just that one gene. And I thought, that's where I want to kind of corner the market, is making gene videos on the specific genes, because nobody else is doing it. And a lot of people tried to copy me, but it's already been done. If you can do something else, if you can figure out something else in ball pythons, that'll give you a lot of content, something that nobody's done before. I've seen some people do, you know, just the business side of ball pythons. That's a great idea, because I haven't really covered, you know, the financials and maybe how to prevent lawsuits, or how to stay safe at the reptile shows from the business perspective. You know, how to incorporate your business and stuff like that. The whole business side, I haven't really covered any of that. So that would be a good way to go. You know, the genes have been done over and over and over. You can do the genes again, but it's not like a brand new book that nobody has read. Like my channel was at the beginning, and that my channel kind of still is, but a lot of people have been kind of copying the same content. So I would try to think of something else you could do. One of the really cool things that I thought you could do is, if you started a new ball python channel, is you could like interview breeders, like go to their houses, go to their facilities and just walk through and do, because a lot of these breeders, they really haven't had exposure to the public on YouTube. I don't know if a lot of, you know, private people would do it, but I mean, that's where all the ball python industry comes from, is the private breeders actually breeding the ball pythons. If you could somehow get into their houses and their basement and their snake room and do a video and just interview the breeders, that would be really fascinating. Something new that hasn't been done in the ball python industry would be really fascinating. All right, let's see. GHI Red Stripe gives off a lot of bluish hues. Nice. Yeah, I haven't worked with GHI and haven't worked with Red Stripe, so that's pretty fascinating. I've done videos on the GHI. I'm not sure if I did a video on the Red Stripe yet. I think that's on my list of genes to do still. All right, let's see. Also have a triple het recessive breeding to another triple recessive, 25% per genetic, or for all of them as a whole. Interesting. Yeah, triple het to triple het. The odds are pretty slim that you'll actually get a a visual triple het or a triple visual. Yeah, and I think that if you're breeding, I kind of found that out the hard way. If you're breeding triple het to triple het, I think the odds of getting a normal looking snake are greater than 50%. So that's kind of a really long-term project, doing triple het to triple het. So I actually like to do visuals in with my triple het, so then you actually get some visuals. And then you have kind of hets in the background along with your visuals. Stranger is underrated. Yes, Stranger is underrated. If I started in 02, I'd be retired at 37. Nice. 22,000 ball python for sale in US, only 3,300 in EU. Ooh. Yeah, I've actually seen that with a few ball pythons, certain genes. I saw one, what was it? The Twister. I made a video on the Twister and I was like bragging, yeah, the Twister is so awesome. It's only in Europe. I did this big video and I said, yeah, you should get into Twister. And a few years later, I saw over on Morphmarket that one person invested in the Twister gene. It seems like it has so much potential. I haven't looked for probably a year or so, but it seemed like he was the only one with Twisters, had them for sale, and didn't seem like he was selling a lot of Twisters, which was kind of interesting because I don't think they're that well known over here. So sometimes you get a gene like that and you think, oh yeah, I can buy it for... well, in this case, you actually have snakes on both sides, and you can see the prices on both sides. But sometimes it's hard going from, you know, like a culture where everyone is, you know, seeing all the really awesome combinations, like over in the UK or over in Europe, and you bring it over here and nobody really knows what that gene is, and you have to kind of educate people to sell your snakes, which I think is pretty fascinating. I think I live on the wrong side of the globe. It could be. I don't know. It depends what you're getting into. Yeah. USA is definitely the #1 place for ball pythons, I would say. What do I do for fun? Well, that's a good question. Oh, let's see. The last thing I did for fun is I had a friend come up last week and we went on a motorcycle ride through the mountains, through the Kirby Mountains, spent a few hours in the mountains. I was on my Harley Davidson Fat Boy, my 2023 Fat Boy that I bought brand new. Super fast bike, really nice. I really love that bike. And he rented a bike, so he showed up. I was like, what is this guy gonna rent? I was thinking maybe like an enduro or an adventure bike. He shows up with a big old Honda Goldwing. I could not believe he's got this big old Honda Goldwing. Trying to keep up with my Fat Boy. But I thought that was pretty interesting. We drove around for a few hours. Other thing we've been doing is going on vacations. I went to a wedding up in Oregon That was pretty fascinating. We're planning a vacation to the Royal Gorge pretty soon. We have another camping trip coming up here. Maybe this fall. I'm thinking maybe September. We'll do a camping trip in somewhere up in the mountains. We're going to find a little place that's kind of secluded next to some water. We can do some fishing and camping, kind of a camping trip like that. Sometimes I like to go like out to California, do deep sea fishing, some paragliding. Like to do jet skiing, stuff like that. I like the little shops along the beach, try the different foods, stuff like that, kind of get out and get around. Of course, here at home, it's always like a vacation, taking care of all my animals and doing YouTube live streams. That's always fun. Let's see. Karina K. Brucey, what's up? You helped me save my snake. I just want to let you know it's a long story. Just know your videos saved my baby. That's what I'm here for, to save snakes in the reptile community. I'm glad I can help you out. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Let's see. We've been going for 2 hours. 24 people on the live. All right. Years ago, I made a video on moldy eggs with providone iodine. How did that go? Oh, I made a video. Yeah. I never made a follow-up video. It didn't work. The iodine didn't work. I think when an egg gets moldy, the egg is dead. I don't think there's anything you can do to save it. Sometimes you get a little bit of mold, like on a little portion of the egg, but if the whole egg gets moldy, turns green, I'm pretty sure that the embryo inside is dead. Do I breed any other reptiles? No, I did some geckos for a while, but I tried to do like a community gecko tank, and the parents would eat all the babies. Got rid of my geckos. That's another thing I had up in the bedroom. I had a pretty big gecko tank. So no, I don't breed any other reptiles. Just snakes. Hoping to make an extreme gene more popular because it has so much potential in combos. I agree. Extreme gene is pretty underrated and pretty much not that well known, I would say, for the extreme gene. How do you get a female back on food after they lay? Yeah, so the best thing to do, take them off their eggs. You don't want to leave them on their eggs too long. Take them off their eggs. You can take them out of the tub. You can kind of just wash them down with just straight water. Replace the substrate. Wash down the tub so there's like no egg smell at all. And a lot of times just doing that will actually get them back on food. Sometimes they'll eat like days after they lay eggs. I had a clown that would eat like days after laying eggs. So, but usually it takes weeks. Sometimes it takes months. All depends on the snake. Sometimes after they lay eggs, sometimes it could be months. So I would definitely do the cleaning thing to try to get them back on food. MSR. Not sure what that is. Dickie. Let's see. I bathed her and did a full tub change. She laid 2 days ago. All right. That's all you can do. Do a full tub change. That's pretty much it. All right. So we're at 2 hours and 4 minutes. I think I am going to end the stream. Yeah. Let's see. Did I feed the new mama? No. So I just think that just laid eggs. I haven't fed her yet. So I usually feed on the weekend. Well, I've been feeding on the weekends, and then recently just switched to like kind of the middle of the week feeding schedule. And I was feeding yesterday when I found the eggs. So, well, maybe, I guess it was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. I was feeding all my snakes and then I found her. So And then it did a video like at midnight. So that was pretty crazy. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up here. All right, that's pretty much it. All right, I am going to go get some food and then go to Walmart and go grocery shopping. That's what I'm going to do tonight. So I will see you later. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for watching. I enjoyed getting back into the live stream. I'm glad my mic and my camera work good too. So next time I'll have to work on my white balance a little bit. Kind of get rid of that olive drab color. In the, I don't know if I can do it in post and YouTube, but yeah, see if I can correct that a little bit. See if I can clean up the color. All right, so thanks for coming along. Glad I can answer all the questions, and hopefully I could be of some help. All right, probably do another video probably next week, in the middle of the week, and maybe show my DNA results from the genetic testing from Rare Genetics. That's probably what I'll do next. So, all right, thanks for watching. Bobby says goodbye, and I will see you in the next video.